Have you ever wondered why the men who barely try, the ones who don't chase, don't flatter, don't bend, are the ones women seem magnetically drawn to? It's not an accident. It's not luck. It's not some mysterious aura. It's a psychological pattern. And if you don't understand it, you'll keep losing to men who don't even care if they win. You've probably done this. You met a woman you really liked. She smiled, she laughed, she gave you her number. And in that little high of early connection, you gave too much, too soon. You texted first, you asked when she was free, you planned the date, complimented her hair, remembered what she said about her boss, and told yourself, this is how a real man should treat her. And she pulled away, slower replies, dry energy. Then she was suddenly busy all the time. You wondered what you did wrong. You replayed the conversations, double-checked the emojis, thought maybe you weren't exciting enough, bold enough, tall enough. But the truth is brutal. You tried too hard. That's what killed it. Because attraction, especially in its early stages, doesn't respond to effort. It responds to presence, to tension, to mystery, and most importantly, to centeredness, your ability to remain rooted in yourself. Regardless of who stands in front of you, you think attention makes her feel valued. You think compliments show her she's special. You think quick replies prove your interest. But what she actually feels is this: you're already sold, and now there's no chase left. Here's a story that might feel familiar. A guy named Marcus had been talking to a woman from work. Smart, stunning, playful. They grabbed lunch twice. She texted him at night. He got excited, and on day 4, he sent her a long message how he admired her, how refreshing she was, how he hadn't felt this good in a while. She replied with awe, that's so sweet. And then silence for 3 days. Marcus didn't understand. He was honest. He was kind. He was open. Isn't that what they want? No, not when it comes too early. Because when you show emotional availability before she's earned it, she doesn't see you as confident, she sees you as eager. And eagerness reeks of insecurity. You're attractive when you don't need her to see you as attractive. When your attention feels like something she has to earn. When your time feels like it belongs to you, not her. That's the silent war. Most men are losing the war between emotional hunger and emotional gravity. When you chase, flatter, entertain, and give freely before there's any depth, you're trying to buy closeness. But women are biologically wired to test that. They don't trust what comes too cheap, especially not in today's world, where attention is everywhere and validation is disposable. So here's the practical truth: you don't need to be hot, you don't need to be rich, you don't need to be tall, but you do need to be centered. What does that look like in the real world? It means not being the first to text after the date, even if it went well. It means not complimenting her every time she posts a picture. It means letting silences exist. It means letting her reach for your attention without feeding her dopamine on demand. There's a woman out there right now who will lose interest in a man this week, not because he did anything wrong, but because he did too much right, too soon, without making her earn it. It's not fair, but it's how desire works. Attraction isn't built through kindness, it's built through contrast, between what she has and what she can't quite get, between your warmth and your restraint, between the comfort you offer and the tension you hold. Women aren't falling for the guy who tries, they're falling for the guy who doesn't flinch, the guy who can look at her, smile, feel the pull, and still wait, still hold frame, still stay rooted, because deep down, she doesn't want to lead the dance, she wants to be pulled into your rhythm. Not chased, not convinced, not pampered. This isn't about playing games. It's about letting your energy speak for itself. When you stop trying, you stop repelling. When you stop proving, you start attracting. Because when she feels your self-control, she senses your value. And when she senses your value, she wants more, not less. Now ask yourself this: have you ever felt like the more you liked her, the less she responded? Have you ever been ghosted after opening up emotionally too early? Have you ever watched her chase a guy who didn't even care? Tell me what happened. Let's talk in the comments. Let's talk about the pull, that invisible magnetic force she feels when a man doesn't flinch, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. When his world doesn't rotate around her texts, her moods, or her attention. She feels something ancient, unexplainable, but real. The mistake most men make: they think attraction is logical. If I treat her well, if I'm consistent, if I show her I care, she'll want me. And that's true in friendship, not in attraction. Attraction is not about reassurance, it's about energy. And when you give your energy too freely, too early, you kill the tension, you dissolve the mystery, you become predictable. Let's break this down tactically. You meet her, you talk, you feel something spark. What do you do if you're like most men? You start leaning in fast, you initiate conversations, you plan things, you respond quickly, you drop compliments like seeds, hoping something will bloom. And for a while, it feels like it's working. She smiles, she laughs, she responds. But slowly, almost invisibly, her investment drops. She replies with one-word answers, cancels plans, doesn't text unless you do first. You start thinking, maybe I need to try harder. Wrong. This is the trap. You're in it now. You feel her slipping, so you accelerate. You think you're showing commitment. But what she sees is a man who's lost balance, a man who's becoming reactive, a man who needs her to feel okay. That need, it's repelling, because neediness is not about what you say, it's about what your actions reveal. And when your every move is shaped by her, she becomes the center of gravity. She doesn't want that pressure. She wants a man she can lean on, not one who leans on her. Here's a story that'll hit home. One of my clients, let's call him Eli, went out with a woman he met at a mutual friends event. The night went well. Great conversation, good connection, playful chemistry. The next day, she sent him a photo from the night, said she had fun. Eli replied, "Me too. You're amazing." Then followed up with, "When are we doing that again? Then I found this spot I think you'd love." In less than 24 hours, he gave her 3 signals. He was emotionally hooked. He was already planning their next meeting. He had mentally placed her in his world. She hadn't earned any of that yet. And within a week, you guessed it, she was gone. No drama, just distance, coldness, silence. He came to me confused, but I thought I was showing interest. I said, "You showed her she already had you before she even knew if she wanted you." And that's the key when your desire moves faster than her emotional curiosity. She doesn't feel flattered, she feels cornered. And she runs. So what should Eli have done? One word: wait. When she sent the picture, he could have just said, "You looked like you had a good time." Calm, neutral, no escalation, no compliments, no plans, no energy dump. That space would have left her wondering, is he into me? Why didn't he say more? What's he thinking? That curiosity, that gap, that's what creates pull. The less certain she is about your emotional position, the more attention she gives to figuring it out. And here's the twist most men never understand: the more she works to understand you, the more she begins to desire you. Not because you're playing games, but because you're not leaking validation. You're not over-explaining. You're not rewarding her for minimal effort. That's power. Quiet, invisible, psychological power. And if you want to be attractive without trying, You have to master this controlled presence. That means you don't message just to keep her interested. You don't chase when she pulls away. You don't panic if she's slow to respond. You don't reward flakiness with softness. You stay calm, cool, grounded, because every time you react to her behavior, you're telling her she controls the dynamic, that her silence controls your insecurity, that her warmth dictates your confidence. And women do feel that. They don't just hear your words, they sense the weight of your reactions. They know when they have you wrapped up. And once they know that, the game is over. Because the most attractive men are the ones who don't try to be, they just are rooted in their frame, emotionally sovereign, indifferent to chaos, unshaken by withdrawal. And ironically, that is what makes women come closer. So let me ask you, have you ever chased harder when you felt her slipping only to watch her disappear completely? Have you ever felt that pit in your stomach after double texting and getting nothing back? Have you ever sensed that your attention was being used to feed her ego, not build connection? Drop your story in the comments. Don't hold back. Let's get brutally honest. You don't become attractive by doing more. You become attractive by removing what's been making you weak. Neediness, overinvestment, validation seeking, approval hunting. These things don't just kill attraction, they kill you. They strip you of your center. They hollow out your self-worth and put it in someone else's hands. And the worst part, you often don't realize you're doing it. It's subtle. It looks like asking her if she got home safe when she barely replied to your last 2 texts. It looks like liking every photo, hoping she notices. It looks like adjusting your schedule just to accidentally run into her. It looks like pretending you don't mind her taking 2 days to respond, while your chest tightens with every hour of silence. This isn't love. This isn't confidence. This is survival mode attraction. The desperate, fragile hope that if you just say the right thing, do the right thing, show enough loyalty, she'll finally see your value. But she never will not like this, because the moment she senses that her presence dictates your behavior, your power is gone. She doesn't have to earn you. She doesn't even have to wonder about you. You've already placed yourself on the shelf like a free sample clearly labeled, predictable, safe. And nothing about that is desirable. Women don't crave a man who makes them feel worshipped before they've proven anything. They crave a man who makes them feel curious. A man who can be warm. Yes, but only after they've stepped in with both feet. A man who can listen deeply but doesn't overshare quickly. A man who can be emotionally real but never emotionally reckless. That's the balance most men never reach, because they're taught if you want her, show her, tell her, pursue her, but they're not taught if she doesn't earn your truth, she'll never respect it. If she doesn't step in with consistent energy, she hasn't earned access to your depth. You keep throwing yourself into these emotional sinkholes, hoping that if you just give more, it'll be enough. It won't. Because the attraction isn't born from what you give. It's born from what you withhold, from what you protect, from what you let her chase slowly, organically, on her own terms. Let me give you another real story. There was a guy I coached named Leo, handsome, successful, disciplined, but he had one fatal flaw. He collapsed emotionally every time he liked a girl. He would meet a woman, things would go well, and instantly he became available. Overly so. He once told me, when I like someone, I just want to show her I'm serious. I want her to know I'm not playing games. But here's what I asked him. Are you serious? Or are you scared she won't choose you if you don't rush to prove your worth? He went quiet. That silence said everything. Because most men confuse sincerity with insecurity. They confuse emotional honesty with emotional dumping. They confuse being different from other guys with being completely transparent, too early thinking it'll protect them from being misunderstood. But here's the twist. When a woman doesn't feel like she's earned your vulnerability, your honesty doesn't feel courageous, it feels weak. It feels like desperation hiding behind authenticity. So, what did Leo do differently? The next time he met a woman, he practiced what I call strategic emotional restraint. He listened, he asked good questions, he flirted lightly, but he didn't volunteer his feelings. He didn't ask her out the next day. He didn't follow her on every platform. He didn't text her 3 times before noon. He waited. And when she reached out because she did, then he responded with the same energy she gave him. No more, no less. And guess what? She chased. She stayed curious. She asked him questions. She leaned in. Because he wasn't bleeding energy, he was containing it. Containment is power. It's not coldness. It's not manipulation. It's simply value preservation. You've worked on yourself. You've built a life. You've earned self-respect. Why would you hand that over to someone who hasn't shown up with real consistency yet? Every time you overshare with a woman who hasn't earned your truth, every time you try to prove your intentions before she proves her presence, every time you give your time, energy, validation to someone who's giving you breadcrumbs, you're not being noble, you're being emotionally reckless. And no woman will respect that even if she says she wants it. Now let me ask you, have you ever felt like your emotional openness scared her off, even though you thought it would bring her closer? Have you ever watched a woman invest more in a guy who gave her less, and it made no logical sense? Have you ever looked back and realized that you gave your best too early, and got nothing in return? Drop your thoughts. I want to hear them. The truth that stings the most is the one you've been avoiding. You thought being real was enough. That sincerity, devotion, and emotional availability would set you apart. That if you just showed her your intentions, she'd feel safe, loved, and would finally stop chasing the wrong guys. But here's what you missed. She wasn't rejecting your honesty. She was rejecting the fact that you gave it away so easily. It didn't cost her anything to get your heart. No curiosity, no effort, no sacrifice. And what costs nothing is valued the same. You want to know why some men seem to have women obsessing over them even when they barely try? It's not just the way they look. It's not the car, the money, or even the charm. It's the fact that their emotional gravity is unshakable. They're not in a rush to be chosen. They're not starving for attention. They're not offering themselves up like a prize waiting to be claimed. They hold their energy like it's sacred. And that is what pulls her in, because she can feel the contrast. She can feel that she's not in control of the dynamic. She doesn't know exactly what he thinks of her. She doesn't know if she's winning yet. So she works harder to figure it out, and every step she takes toward him builds her emotional investment. That's the secret. You don't become attractive by convincing her. You become attractive by making her wonder. Let's get tactical. You're on a date. She tells you about her job, her ex, her dreams, her flaws. You're tempted to open up, to match her vulnerability, to mirror her pace. Don't. Slow the rhythm. Let her lead with interest. And when she shares something personal, listen, but don't immediately one-up her with your own trauma, goals, or reflections. Say less than you want to, not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting the core. Women crave the chase, too. The mystery, the slowness, the unfolding of a man who is not in a hurry to be figured out. That pacing isn't cold, it's strategic, because if you dump your soul out too fast, you rob her of the experience of earning you, and if she doesn't earn it, she won't keep it. That's why so many men lose a woman right after the perfect third date, because they gave her the final chapter when she was still reading the introduction. Resist that. Here's another example from a guy named Andre. He met a woman through mutual friends. They clicked fast. First date, fireworks. Second date, even better. He wanted to tell her how different she felt, how much he appreciated her energy, how ready he was for something real. But instead, he pulled back. He didn't ghost. He didn't play hard to get. He just slowed the flow. Instead of texting her the next morning with paragraphs, he waited until afternoon and said simply, "You were fun." No emoji, no overkill, just presence. Then he disappeared for a day, lived his life. No updates, no double taps, no stories posted to grab her attention. She messaged him 36 hours later. "So, are you alive?" He replied, "Barely. Thursdays are brutal." She laughed, asked when they were hanging again. She chased. Not because he ignored her, but because he didn't make her feel certain that she already had him. The tension remained. The energy stayed electric. She kept leaning in. That's the shift. That's what most men never learn. They confuse emotional presence with emotional surrender. They give everything too soon, trying to speed up a connection, and instead, they kill it. Because she's not falling for your affection, she's falling for your composure, your calm, your refusal to be pulled into her orbit. And here's the psychological layer beneath it all. When you stop chasing women, you automatically screen for the ones who are actually interested. You filter out the ones who only wanted your attention, not your soul. You eliminate the women who thrive on validation, but disappear when it's time to reciprocate. And you magnetize the ones who are ready, who want to meet you at eye level, who want a man they can't manipulate emotionally because he's already full. So ask yourself this: have you ever given your best to a woman who gave you nothing back and still tried harder? Have you ever ignored your gut just to keep things moving, only to end up alone and confused again? Have you ever mistaken emotional availability for emotional readiness and paid the price for it? Tell me what you've learned the hard way. Now comes the part no one teaches you, the part they leave out of every podcast, every dating video, every nice guy finishes last post. You don't just become attractive by learning the tricks. You become attractive by reclaiming your center. The center that doesn't shift depending on who texts you. The center that doesn't shrink when she gets cold. The center that doesn't chase when she pulls away. Because true attraction isn't about pulling her closer. It's about becoming the kind of man she leans toward, not out of obligation or guilt, but out of desire. And desire is never born in desperation. It's born in difference. The difference between who you are and who the world expects you to be. The difference between emotional availability and emotional self-control. The difference between giving her attention and letting her earn your attention. That difference is your edge. That edge is your mystery. And mystery is what keeps her coming back. Let me leave you with a story. One last man. His name was Darren, late 30s, divorced. Used to overgive in every relationship. He was the guy who showed up early, stayed late, paid for everything, texted all day, remembered her mother's birthday, and offered support before she even asked. He kept thinking, if I just love her right, she won't leave. And still, they left. When Darren came to me, he was burned out, angry, numb. I gave them everything, he said, and they just lost interest. So I told him something simple. Stop giving, start holding. Hold your energy, hold your time, hold your silence. Let her come to you. Let her earn your openness. Let her feel what it's like to want access and not get it right away. Let her feel the space. It didn't happen overnight, but Darren changed. He started waiting 2 days before responding to second dates, not out of spite, but out of pacing. He started saying, "I'll let you know," instead of instantly clearing his schedule. He stopped sharing personal stories with women who hadn't shown consistency. And slowly, they chased, they leaned in, they texted first, they complimented him, they asked where he went, what he was thinking, when they'd see him again. Not because he played games, but because he finally played from power. Power that came from stillness, from presence, from not giving himself away just to feel wanted. And you can have that same power. It begins when you stop making her the center of your validation. You're not here to be liked. You're not here to prove you're safe. You're not here to soothe her anxiety before she's even shown up with consistency. You're here to live with gravity, so from this moment on, never chase again. If she pulls away, you let her. If she withdraws attention, you don't reward it. If she tests your silence, you sit in it calmly. Not because you don't care, but because you come first. Because your energy is sacred. Because your heart is not a vending machine. Because your value doesn't rise and fall with a woman's affection. She doesn't get the whole story until she's earned the first chapter. She doesn't get your soul until she proves she can hold it with both hands. And she doesn't get to break you unless you hand her the weapon. So protect your edge, guard your mystery, speak less, lean back. Let her meet you halfway or not at all. Because when you no longer need her to want you, that's when she truly will. And if she doesn't, good. Because the man who doesn't try to be attractive is the one who already is. She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.